You weren't born a linebacker, but you were always chasing something. Backyard games with older cousins who never let you win. Recess football where you never got the ball, so you just started hitting people. You didn't even know what form tackling was. You just knew you liked the sound of impact. That loud thump when your shoulder met someone else's ribs. It felt like you mattered. You weren't the fastest kid, not the tallest, not the one they put at quarterback, but you were the one who didn't back down. You played both sides. Offense because you had to, defense because you needed to. Nobody taught you how to read a play. You just saw things before they happened. You could feel when a screen was coming, smelled a run up the gut before the lineman even stood up straight. You got called coach's favorite early on. Not because you were kissing up, because you listened. You stayed late. You ran the extra sprint. You weren't trying to impress anyone. You just liked the pain. It meant you were doing something real. Pop Warner became middle school. Middle school turned into early mornings, weight room before the sun, cereal in the locker room, backpacks full of shoulder pads. Other kids were getting ready for math. You were already breaking down last week's film. You learned how to take a hit and how to give one with intention. Not anger. Intention. Your parents probably didn't even realize what they were feeding. That every good game, bud, was reinforcing something deeper. That when they let you hit that tackling dummy in the backyard a little too hard, you were building a brain that equated love with impact. That's how it starts for all of us. And let's be real, you like the violence. Not the Hollywood kind, not the flashy pick sixes. You like the violence that came with control. The kind that made a running back hesitate. That made a tight end flinch when he crossed your zone. You liked knowing you were the reason an entire offense had to adjust. You watched old YouTube clips of Ray Lewis screaming in pregame huddles like he was possessed. You had Patrick Willis, Navarro Bowman, maybe even Bobby Wagner as your lock screen. Not flashy, not fame hungry, just cold, precise, relentless. You didn't want to be them. You wanted to be respected like them, and you were willing to pay whatever that cost. The first time a coach put the green dot on your helmet, you felt proud, and then terrified. Calling plays meant no more hiding. If the defense got beat, it was you. If someone was out of position, it was you. But instead of running from that pressure, you leaned in. That was the difference. You weren't the biggest or strongest. You were just the one who cared enough to carry it. And the crazy part? You were just a kid, 16, maybe 17, still figuring out shaving and girls in FAFSA forms. But on that field, you were expected to be a field general. A grown man. No mistakes, no excuses. So when the offers started coming, or maybe they didn't, you still doubled down. Junior college, D2, walk-on spot, it didn't matter. You weren't chasing a scholarship, you were chasing the next hit, the next assignment, the next chance to prove something. Because somewhere along the way, linebacker stopped being a position. It became who you are, and you didn't realize yet. That's where the suffering starts. You get to college, and the welcome mat is a clipboard and a full-contact scrimmage. They don't care what your high school highlight reel looked like. Nobody's impressed by your huddle clips. Everyone here was the best player back home. Everyone here could hit, run, and lead. And they're all fighting for the same thing. Reps. The linebacker room isn't friendly. It's competitive, quiet, calculated. You sit next to a fifth-year senior with a broken hand and 3 knee braces, and he still gets more snaps than you. You think you're ready until you get pancaked by a pulling guard who outweighs you by 90 pounds and doesn't blink when you stay down an extra second. You get up anyway. You start spending more time in the film room than in your own dorm. Not because you want to, because you have to. It's the only place you feel like you have an edge. Physically, you're average now. But mentally, you can be elite. You learn tendencies, down and distance, formation cues, split-second hesitations in a quarterback's stance. You become obsessed with guessing right. And when you don't, when you guess wrong and a tight end blindsides you across the middle, you limp back to the sideline and blame yourself for trusting your instincts. Your body starts to protest. Not all at once, quietly. Ankles that swell after every practice, hips that click, shoulders that don't sit right anymore. You play through it because everyone does. You tape, ice, stretch, swallow the pills they hand you. You joke about it in the locker room like it's funny that you can't sleep without waking up in pain. Like it's normal to need 45 minutes of rehab just to jog. You're smart enough to see what's happening. You see the guy 3 lockers down, the one who started last year, walking like a 60-year-old. You hear the stories from alumni who can't remember where they parked or who stopped recognizing their kids in photos. You read about CTE, You feel the creeping paranoia when you forget simple things, when your speech slurs after a late season headshot, but you brush it off. Because the linebacker code is simple. Shut up and hit somebody. Your coach loves you, says you're a film junkie, says you're a gamer, which is code for you'll play hurt and you'll never complain. But he never mentions the MRI you never followed up on. Never talks about the numbness in your fingers that won't go away. That's on you. Because part of you believes that suffering makes you legitimate. That if you're not hurting, you're not doing it right. There's a moment, maybe sophomore year, not when you think about quitting. Just for a second. In the cold tub, staring at the ceiling while your lower back throbs like it's on fire. You think about what life would look like without football. No alarms at 5 a.m., no tackles, no expectations. Just silence. But you never tell anyone, because quitting isn't in your vocabulary yet. Because every coach you've ever had drilled the same thing into you. Football reveals who you are, and you want to believe who you are is worth revealing. So you stay. You study harder, you hit harder, you hurt harder. Smart enough to understand the cost, dumb enough to keep paying it, and the worst part, you're just getting started. You make it, somehow. Maybe you got drafted day 2, maybe not. Maybe it was a rookie minicamp invite and you clawed your way into a practice squad one padded rep at a time. Either way, you're here now, the NFL. And just like college, nobody gives a damn what you did to get here. The playbook triples in size. The speed of the game breaks your brain at first. Everyone moves like they've seen the future. You hesitate once, just once, and a 240-pound running back makes you look like a fool on national TV. They replay it on ESPN and tag the rookie who got exposed. It's you. But they don't show the plays you did read perfectly, the run you blew up in the gap, the goal line stand you held together because you recognized a shift pre-snap that no one else did. That part stays invisible. Because you're a linebacker. You're not the flashy DB making picks. You're not the edge rusher chasing sacks. You're not the camera-friendly wideout or the charismatic quarterback. You're the one who takes the hits so the rest can shine. You're the guy doing the dirty work, bleeding from the forearm, and somehow still the one blamed when the defense breaks down. You call the plays. The green dot on your helmet doesn't come with glory. It comes with blame. If a gap gets missed, it's you. If a rookie safety bites on a double move, you should have called a better check. You're the brain of a defense that most fans can't even name. And when the team loses, nobody talks about the 12 solo tackles you logged. They remember the one you missed. You play next to stars. Maybe one of them is going to the Pro Bowl. Maybe one's on the last year of a bloated contract. You're somewhere in between, the value guy. The team loves you because you're reliable, coachable, tough. Which means you'll do everything and get credit for nothing. The offense goes 3 and out again. You lace up your cleats tighter and jog back out. You're winded, your ribs hurt, but the camera's not on you. It's on the quarterback, pacing on the sideline, shaking his head like he's in a movie. You're not allowed to look frustrated. You're not allowed to be tired. The game becomes a loop. Get up, hit, get blame, repeat. Sometimes you go home after a game and turn on the tape, not to relive your best hits, but to figure out if it really was your fault. You slow it down frame by frame, watching yourself take on a pulling guard with bad leverage because the D tackle didn't clog the lane. You still blame yourself. You watch interviews of legends, Patrick Willis, Bobby Wagner, Levante David, and they all say the same thing. You do your job, you take pride in that. And you do. But there's something hollow in that pride, something that feels like settling. Because deep down, you know the truth, you're the heart of the defense. But nobody builds statues for hearts. It starts small. You walk into a room and forget why. You call your mom and stumble over words. You can't find your car keys. And for 10 terrifying seconds, you can't remember if you drove here or not. You laugh it off. So do your teammates. Linebacker brain, someone says in the film room, tapping his helmet like it's a joke. But it doesn't feel funny when you're home alone and staring at the microwave, trying to remember how long mac and cheese takes. The doctor calls it mild cognitive disruption. You call it Tuesday. You've taken more hits than you can count. Literal thousands. Some were helmet to helmet, others were clean, textbook tackles that still rattled something deep inside your skull. You've been shaken up on the field more times than you've been officially diagnosed. And you always get back up, because if you don't, someone else will take your spot. You wake up sore every day, not tired, hurt. Your hips lock when you stand, your left shoulder pops every time you reach for your seatbelt. Your hands go numb when you sleep. You chalk it up to football, just football things. You tell yourself, I'll get it fixed after the season. But the season never really ends. There's always one more year, one more prove-it deal, one more reason to tape it up and shut your mouth. And that rookie, the one they just drafted, he's wearing your number in practice. You act cool, you give him tips, but every time he hits hard in team drills, you hear the clock ticking louder. You know what's coming, you just don't know when. So you keep playing, keep absorbing, keep disappearing. You've started lying during concussion protocol. They shine the light in your eyes and ask how you're feeling, and you say, "I'm good," every time, even when you're not, especially when you're not, because you know what happens if you say the wrong thing. You sit, you fall behind, you become forgettable. There's a moment in year 6, maybe 7, when your wife asks why you're awake at 3 a.m. watching film of a Week 4 matchup from 3 seasons ago. You don't answer, because you don't know. You just feel safer when your mind is occupied. The silence makes your brain feel like it's folding in on itself. And still, you crave it. The moment before contact, the read, the chase, the hit. That half second of impact where everything stops. No thoughts, no pain, no past, no future, just collision. You still live for that. But you're not stupid. You've seen the stories. Linebackers who couldn't remember their kids' names, who sat in dark rooms with sunglasses on and headaches that lasted years, who spiraled, who didn't make it. You think about them more than you admit, and still you put your pads on. Still you buckle your helmet. Still you run full speed into another human being because that's the only place you've ever felt like you. But every time you hit someone now, you hear the cost echo in your skull. Retirement doesn't happen with a ceremony. It happens on a random Tuesday when your body won't cooperate and your agent stops returning calls. No reporters, no jersey swap, no farewell tour, just silence. You try to stay close to the game, maybe coaching, maybe media, maybe youth camps, but it's not the same. Nothing replaces the routine. Nothing replaces the hit. Your mornings feel empty. Your chest feels tight. Your knees scream every time it rains, and you don't even have a playbook to study anymore to distract you. And when people recognize you, if they recognize you, they say things like, "Linebacker, right? What team were you on again?" You force a smile and tell them. They nod, pretend they remember, and change the subject. Your highlight reel is buried somewhere online, but it doesn't trend. You never made a Pro Bowl. You were never the face of a franchise. You were the guy doing the work. The guy in the middle of the chaos, bleeding quietly so someone else could dance in the end zone. You hear a new rookie getting hyped. He's the next Fred Warner, they say. The next Roquan. You're not bitter, just forgotten. And maybe that hurts more. The old injuries settle in. You need a shoulder surgery you've put off for 5 years. Your lower back feels like cement. You have nights where you forget what day it is. You take more ibuprofen than you should. You'll flinch when your kids jump on your lap. They don't know that daddy's joints are held together with scar tissue and stubbornness. And every now and then, you walk past a mirror. You see a body that looks built, strong, intimidating. But inside, you're exhausted. Not from the hits, from the years of holding it all together. From being the field general nobody saluted. From being the guy they all leaned on until they leaned on someone newer, someone cheaper, someone with fresh knees and no baggage. You think back to the first time you put on pads. That wide-eyed kid who just wanted to prove he belonged. You wonder what you'd tell him now. Maybe you'd say it was worth it. That the pain has meaning. Or maybe you'd just sit next to him in silence, let him figure it out the hard way like you did. Because at the end of it all, you weren't the headline. You weren't the jersey in the store. You weren't the one they cheered for when the lights were bright. But you were the one in the trenches. Every play, every down. You were the reason they had a chance to win. You were the heart, not the star. And that's why it sucks to be a linebacker.